Hello and welcome back to the Perception Podcast, where we just see things a little bit differently. I'm Dan, your host, and today's a bit of a special episode for me because it's the 13th episode, and I've always kind of had like this kind of weird connection to the number 13. I kind of see it everywhere. It's kind of like this spiritual thing that I have, but obviously everybody always sees it as this kind of really unlucky thing. But I was actually born on Friday the 13th, believe it or not, and I've always kind of tried to spin that meaning on its head, find some lucky and some positive meaning behind it in my own life anyway. And I thought it'd actually be kind of cool to take some time today to talk about the other person in my life that kind of loves this number 13, kind of shares connection to it. And that's because he was actually born on the 13th as well. And that is my little brother. Ever since he came on in episode 2 with my mum, he's been begging to come back on and stuff like that. And I've kept saying to him, I want to get other guests and stuff like that before I get him back on. I kind of want to do the circle thing where I get everybody that I want on and then maybe get some guests again and again, maybe for some double episodes and stuff like that. So yeah, I've always kind of said that to him and kind of stressed that I want to get different perspectives on it whenever I can. So in the meantime, he doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but I wanted to kind of dedicate an episode to him and kind of dedicate it to our relationship and how kind of mental health and physical health has kind of got in the way, but also ways that I've tried to get around that in the past, and maybe some ways that I can like kind of pass on to you that might be able to help you in your kind of sibling relationships, family relationships, any kind of relationship. I just think it's really important to have a focus on the siblings because I don't really think that's done enough, and especially like to little siblings as well that maybe don't know exactly what's going on. I think it's always good to remember that they are there, even though they might not be the centre of attention all the time. They do deserve a lot of credit for what they have to put up with and stuff. So yeah, I just thought it'd be a nice idea to kind of dedicate this episode to him. So here we go. So to start off, I just kind of wanted to talk about our relationship at the minute and kind of what that looks like. And the way I'd describe it really is kind of the normal sibling, kind of love-hate, Marmite situation where although you might not like each other all the time, definitely not all the time, you definitely love each other. And I don't know whether my little brother realises that enough, how much I do kind of not only love him, but really do care about him. I think that kind of comes from the northern manly upbringing that I've kind of talked about a lot on here before, where it's like, I do have 2 older half brothers that I only really used to see 2 or 3 times a year, and because they live so far away and because we only see them for such short time each year, it kind of be, whenever we saw each other, it'd be very generic, like football, how you doing, all stuff like that. Very, even though they were great times and great talks, and I'm not taking anything away from that. When you have a little brother that you kind of meet from the first day they're alive, and you kind of have to take on that big brother role that you never have done before, and kind of know that even though you're not their parent, you definitely have like a role in shaping them as a person. It's kind of, as I'm saying, like a not nowhere near the same level, but kind of that trepidation that a first time parent must get, that you kind of have to fulfill this role that you have no idea of how to do. And there's kind of no, I'm not saying there should be, but there's no books of how to be a helpful older brother. There's no books on what to do or how to act or anything like that. It's just kind of what's expected of you as the older one. And you definitely get a lot of the blame because you are an older one because of that. But, yeah, I think trying to build a relationship with a younger sibling with, a weird perception, as I like to put it, and also physical challenges has definitely been a tough one for me. I know with my older brothers, as I say, it's just kind of, we've always kind of bonded on football and girls and all stuff, all normal stuff like that. Because as I say, it's always been quite short, fast, generic, funny, like chats and stuff like that. But with a young kid, you can't just start talking to him about all stuff like that. So you have to find ways to kind of bond with him, with them. And I've always found that kind of a challenge that I've had to kind of still trying to get past, really, because and I don't think actually that I've done a good enough job in the past, and I'm definitely trying to get better of actually trying to bond with him, because I don't think I've spent enough time actually sitting with him and finding out what he enjoys doing, and maybe finding little bits of similarities that we both share, that we can both maybe have a good time doing. Because otherwise I think a lot of what younger brothers see, especially if they're younger brothers or younger sisters or younger siblings, of people with mental health issues or physical issues, a lot of what they see is just the extreme stuff, especially if, like me, you're a teenage introvert that locks yourself in the room. Anytime anybody sees you, is kind of when you're having an outburst, if something's wrong, something like that. And for a young developing mind that doesn't, say, have the emotional maturity of a parent, of your mum or something like that, it's kind of hard to take on if they don't know you properly. And I've always kind of found it hard to find a balance between my kind of crazy extreme side and also finding time to kind of bond with him on a normal-ish level. And when it comes to kind of teaching them stuff and obviously developing them as a little person, that's also provided a bit of a challenge, because obviously with my anger and anxiety and stuff like that, I always worried that I might be passing on bad principles and bad, I don't want to say morals, because I definitely don't have bad morals, but bad example, that's what I'm trying to say, bad examples onto him, as it's the right thing to do. So as I've said on here in the past, I always try to take responsibility for my actions, whether subconscious or conscious, or however you want to say it. I've always tried to take responsibility so that he knows, even though I am doing this crazy extreme stuff, that it's still not acceptable in any way, and I still take complete responsibility, and I always say sorry, because I feel like if I didn't do that, even though it might only be a small victory for me, it might turn into a bit of anarchy for a young developing mind to just see that, and then just to maybe see just complete apathy towards the situation, complete just apathy towards taking responsibility and stuff like that. I think that could be really dangerous, because then they might kind of learn the same kind of emotions towards hurting others and stuff like that, which I don't think is good in any way. And kind of the physical side of it as well, because I don't think I actually talk about this enough on here. That's also been kind of hard for me. For somebody with a disability, I don't think I really realised how different it would kind of be to kind of a normal, again in quotation marks, kind of sibling situation, because if you've never been a big brother before, all you kind of see of big brothers are maybe the examples that you've got in your family, and then the TV, really. That was my main example, and kind of showed me what I needed to do in a way to be a big brother. And it's always kind of it's always about kind of teaching your younger siblings and stuff like that, teaching them how to play football and all sorts, which obviously for me has always been a bit of a challenge. So then I think that normal brother sibling relationship that would kind of develop from learning stuff, from kind of teaching them the ropes to life, really, all the maybe a bit more mischievous things that parents sometimes do but shouldn't really do to their kids. The brothers always step in there, or the siblings always step in and kind of help them out in that kind of sense, like how to prank your parents and stuff like that. All stuff like that I've always found a bit tricky, kind of because of my mobility situation and messing around with him and stuff like that. So I think where a natural bonding kind of relationship would have grown out of that, I feel like we've, in a sense, kind of always been kind of detached compared to other brothers. I think that's definitely created a rift in our relationship. And as I think I kind of touched on it earlier, I think only recently have I realised how not less of an effort, but like how much more I could have done to kind of create a bond at a much earlier age, because now I'm kind of learning as he's getting that little bit older and he's kind of talking to me a bit more, his perception of me, because he's kind of always seen these extreme outbursts of me, is kind of like this intimidatory figure that although he sees that, it kind of breaks my heart in a way, because even though I do have these extreme outbursts and stuff like that, that's not me as a person. Anybody that knows me as a person knows that I am a good person inside, and if anything, if I was a bad person, I'd be completely out of control by now, because I wouldn't know right from wrong, and I would just be this bad person all the time. And I constantly try to correct myself, but obviously there's only so much that trying and saying sorry can do in certain situations. So it does kind of break your heart, and I'm sure it would to parents as well if their kids came to them and said this, that he kind of views me in this intimidatory kind of way. But I've kind of realised now that the only way I'm not forcibly change his opinion, but just try to change his opinion on that, is to create a closer bond with him, so that you can kind of see as he gains that more emotional maturity, that there is a reason why I do certain things, and I'm not just consciously choosing to do them all the time. Obviously, I'm going to be an idiot teenager from time to time, like anybody would, but the majority of the extreme things that I do are not done by choice. And I feel like now I'm learning that even though he is my brother, he's not obliged to like me, so it's up to me as the older one of the two to kind of make an effort. And like I've learnt with my mum recently, that even though they are always going to be there for you, it's always nicer if you know that they're there out of choice and not by obligation. And it's always good to kind of create a deeper connection with your family, because as I say, you'll always know that they'll be there for you in times of need. And that's what I definitely want to be from my younger brother. I definitely want to be there anytime he needs me. I feel like at the moment he, as I say, just kind of feels a bit detached from me at the minute, a bit like he doesn't know where he stands, like he's walking on eggshells constantly. And I'm definitely going to try more in the future to kind of repair this negative kind of character that I've created in his mind, I suppose. I think a really important thing for people that struggle with good and bad days with their mental health, with stuff like depression, anxiety, anger outbursts, physical health, with my mobility not being great and stuff like that, I think when you are feeling up for it and stuff like that, which may be few and far between for certain people, I think it's really important to kind of capitalise on them days, capitalise on them opportunities where you are maybe not feeling 100%, maybe you're kind of never reaching that 100%, but maybe when you're feeling 50% instead of 30%, I think it's always good to capitalise on them opportunities to kind of make the good days memorable, so that when you have them bad days, it's not kind of reconciled by that, and it doesn't excuse that in any way. It just means that the bad days in their minds are also kind of weighed up against the good days, and they don't have this complete 100% negative outlook as you as a person. Because, as I said before, I'm definitely going to try and work harder on my relationship with my little bro, to kind of make sure that I give myself a chance at least, because I know that I can be better, and I know that I could definitely do more. And I feel like, as I've said actually before, I just think sometimes people, and I've definitely been guilty of it quite recently, just get complacent with relationships and just think that they're just going to fall in your lap. But at the end of the day, you've got to remember they're people with their own interpretations and their own feelings. And even though it may be hard, like for somebody like me to read social cues and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that you can't try. And at least if you're trying, you know yourself that you're trying your hardest, you're doing all that you can. And I think the people in your life will start to appreciate that more than just complete nonchalance on your part. But yeah, definitely, I feel like I'm definitely going to start to, as I say, just work harder on our relationship. And when I am feeling that little bit of kick in the morning, like, oh my God, actually this could be an alright day, just to kind of capitalise on that, maybe do more things with him. When I do have some free time from my A-levels, just, especially that I get to see more of my older half brother now, just to kind of like do all things kind of together, because maybe he can do more of the physical stuff with him that I maybe can't, but I can still join in a way, and just have that kind of positive memory with him, because I definitely don't want to. A big theme in my life is family, because I have such a hard time with social interactions and stuff like that. And as I've said before, my younger cousins and all stuff like that, I never want them to feel like, because of my other issues, that I'm unapproachable. I'm a person that, although I have all these difficulties and although I can be standoffish at times, if anything, even though I won't necessarily talk, I will always listen, and I always try to be approachable in that way. So my worst nightmare would be that my little brother wouldn't feel like they could come to me. And my issues in the past have definitely impeded that. As I said, he kind of has created this kind of intimidatory outlook of me in the past. And I feel like, yeah, the only way to kind of tackle that is just to kind of make sure that he sees me in a positive light as well, and sees more of a 3D, three-dimensional character rather than a 2D that's him. He cannot change. That's just him. But I definitely feel like in all ways as well that siblings can definitely be more of the centre of attention. I feel like a lot of the discussion around SEND kids and stuff like that is always centred on the kid and not enough on the people around them. And I know the people that I know myself within, I don't want to say the interest industry, but within the sphere, try and tackle this a bit more day by day, kind of looking on the effect of parents and siblings and all stuff like that. But definitely on the younger siblings as well, and the older siblings that may play more of a parental role than they necessarily have to at times. I definitely feel like more emphasis needs to be put on them, more credit and respect needs to be put on them, because they deal with a lot of stuff at an early age that a lot of kids would never even dream of experiencing and stuff like that, and go through a lot of stuff. Maybe harm being done to their parents that they can't stop. Maybe harm being done to the kid themselves that they don't know how to stop or don't know how to deal with. And I feel like this strain and stress can even turn into post-trauma afterwards and stuff like that. That's not addressed enough in the world as a society at the moment in any way, shape or form enough to kind of help them through it. And yeah, I just feel like in shows like, I don't know if any of you have watched it, but if you haven't, I would highly recommend it. Atypical on Netflix. If you look at that show, the kid has all sorts of autistic related issues and stuff like that he deals with on a daily basis, and he does a great job with it. But also his older sister in that does an amazing job, and his parents do an amazing job at helping him get through it. And I feel like a lot in this world, we feel the need to put a hero in place. We either need to say, these kids with all these issues don't need enough help and don't need as much help and create them out to be this villain, or we go the opposite way and we say, the kids with these issues are absolutely great and stuff like that, which is also true, but that doesn't mean that we can't then also put the credit on those around them that have helped them get to that point and have helped them like kind of boost them up to that confidence and gave them the capacity to grow. Because I know myself, without certain people in my life, like my little brother, he might not even know he did it, but I know that before he was born, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but I was physically abusive because I was a young kid myself, because I was his age now that he is right now when I did it, and I didn't have the emotional maturity, and I didn't have the maturity full stop to kind of deal with it properly. I was physically abusive towards my parents. I had meltdowns, I had all stuff like that. I was in a much worse place. Then he came around and he put a mental block there. And I know it might sound bad, but it did really help me that like, I can't like hit or kick my mum anymore because she's pregnant and this life is precious. So he may not know it. He might have heard that story in the past, but he may not know truly how much of a profound effect that he had on my life at such an early age. He stopped maybe a life of pain for me, a pain for my mum, a pain for my dad, so much worse than it is now. He sparked a passion in me, a drive in me to change myself, to help develop and improve myself mentally, physically. He has been such an important part of my life, a cog in a much greater machine that has tried to make me kind of guide me through life and guide me through the world. And I just want to big ups to him really, because he's done at such an early age what some people could only hope to achieve in their whole life. So I just really want to say thank you, sir. And seeing as it is the 13th episode, and seeing as it's a bit of a special one, and I deleted my notes before I started, so it's definitely been a bit more all over the place and a bit shorter than usual, but hopefully you've liked it, hopefully you've enjoyed it. I think I've improvised quite well because I sat down to record, I got everything ready, and I was like, I'm definitely not writing the notes again, let's just go. I wanted to just take some time now, when most of the listeners might not even got to this part. Most of the people, why am I saying guys, that I'm going to talk about now might not even listen to this for ages. But as a lot of you know, this is my outlet to say things that I'm too scared to say in the real world. This is my outlet to I'm going to use right now to thank people that have helped me get to this point. Thank people that have kept me on the right course, kept me on the course, full stop. So yeah, I don't want to get too far into that because I might start crying. Don't want to do that on camera. What am I trying to say? On microphone, I guess. But let's just get into it. Firstly, again, I just want to thank my little brother. He doesn't know the impact that he's had on my life. He's been amazing. He's such a cool little dude. I don't say it enough, but I do love you. Hopefully you do listen to this, or hopefully I just tell you to listen to this little bit, because I don't know how to put it into words sometimes. It's probably because of my own ego that I won't. But you have had such an effect on my life, and you're so cool, and I want you to keep growing. You're doing so well. I'm so proud of you. You've lost a bit of weight recently. You're getting more fit every day. You're getting smarter every day. You're doing things that I couldn't do at your age. You're riding your bike like an absolute beast. You learn to play football. It's great. It's great to see you learn a new thing every single day and get a little bit more snarky every single day. Get a bit of my dark humour in you. Get a bit of that British back and forth humour in you. That's fantastic to see. But yeah, Sam, I love you with every bone in my body. I can't wait to see what you become when you're older. And I'm sure you will be the world's greatest demolition man. And then, kind of from that, before I start bursting out into tears, I wanted to move on to my mum. She knows that she is the most important person in my life. She has definitely kept me alive at times. I really don't know what to say. She is the cornerstone of me as a person. She's taught me everything most of the things I know. She's made me into the person I am today. She's given me the drive that I have, given me the focus that I have, made me not a completely lazy, introverted person. She always pushes me to do more things. She's given me the resilience that she always says I have. She has given me that. Every good thing about me, she has probably put into me at one point or another, and I can't thank her enough. And I will never be able to put into words how much I love her, how much I'm sorry for all the things I've done to her, even though I love her so much, and how much she was meant to be a mother. Like, there is some people in the world, and she's great at her job. She's not meant to just be a mother, but she's great at her job. She works in a school. She's great at that. She helps helping other young kids, but she was meant to be a mother. That was her calling to me anyway. And she wasn't expecting to have a kid with all these extra difficulties, but she's done so well. And yes, she does slip up from time to time, but everybody's going to slip up from time to time. And I love you more than anything, and there's nothing you could do to ever change that. And I thank you for being the person that you are, because otherwise I wouldn't be the person that I am. And then moving on to my dad, the person that brung football into my life, one of my best joys, one of the main sources of my happiness. Dad, thank you so much. You made sure I was born in Newcastle, the best city in the world. I don't care what anybody else thinks. You had to, again, deal with something that nobody would have expected. A completely weird kid. I'll be the first to say it. And you've tried your hardest in every single way, and you've stuck by me no matter whatever I've done. You pushed me to play in a little league that I never thought I'd be able to play in. I played against normal, in quotation marks, against kids, and I won trophies, which I never thought I'd have the privilege to do. You are such an inspiration to me, even though you might not think that you are. And I love you in more ways than I could ever say, because I'm a bloke and I will never say it to your face. And I want to hug you right now as I'm saying this. But you are so strong in ways that I could never say, and you definitely have had such a big part in shaping me as a person. And and the most important thing here, and I don't do it either, you don't give yourself enough credit. You don't give yourself enough credit to what a positive impact that you can and already have had on the world. And I need you to be here for when I have kids, so that you can be there to teach them all the stuff that you've taught me, because yeah, I need you to be there. So remember that one. And to my 2 older brothers that I've called half brothers throughout this podcast and probably really peed you off, but I promise you the only reason that I did that was to make the distinction between my little brother and yous. But honestly, you've probably been my social life for 17 years. For somebody who's probably completely socially inept and socially awkward, you've definitely caught me up to date with the darkest jokes and rap music and all the stuff that probably I shouldn't know, but I do know because of you. So thank you for that. You've definitely played a bigger part of my life than you probably know. And even though we lived so far away for such a long time, the little moments that we did have, I cherish probably more than you would ever think. And again, hopefully you never listen to this, because it would be extremely awkward. And I'll probably never say it to your face, the same as Dad, because I'm a man and I'm not able to truly express my feelings. But I do love you both so much, and I do worry about you constantly. And even if you never listen to this, even if you never say it back, I want you to know that I do love you, and I worry about you constantly, and I will forever, and you're never going to change that. And to the rest of my family, Nan, all of you guys up in Norfolk that have helped me through so much, who have been there for me through thick and thin when I've been a little shit half the time, you've still kept faith in me when you really didn't have to. All the people that have helped me through the years with my issues, Mark, Yvonne, Lucy, Joe, Tamara, all of my mum's friends, I'm not going to list them, that she met when she really needed you guys. Thank you for helping her through so much. Thank you for playing such a big part in her life, a part that I could never fill and I could never play. So thank you for that. You've definitely kept her running. You've definitely helped me when I've needed you guys. And for anybody else that I'm missing, because I don't want to go on for an hour, I'm probably forgetting because I don't have my notes in front of me, for Christ's sake, because I deleted them before I started. Anybody else, however small part a role you played in my life, thank you so much for helping me. All the doctors that helped me in my operations, stuff like that. Cams even though they can be a pain in the arse at times, who have tried to help me with my mental health a bit more. School, thank you guys so much for shaping me into the person I am today, giving me all the qualities that I have today, trying to counteract the bad qualities that I already had built in for some bloody annoying reason. But yeah, thank you guys for helping me along the way, keeping me on the course, keeping me running, keeping me going. And yeah, just thank you, because you have played, again, more of an important role than you will ever know. And just side note here, YouTube, if you didn't exist, just the whole of UK YouTube, a bit of the rest, but mainly UK YouTube, mainly rap music as well. I don't know who I'm addressing this to. You're not a person, rap music, but thank you for keeping me here and keeping me going and helping me with life, because life can be tricky sometimes. But after that really long rant, hopefully you guys kind of listened to it if you wanted to, tuned off if you didn't, because it was very long, I know that, but I just kind of wanted to do it. It's the 13th episode. It's all about me for once. I'm not trying to think about, well, it ended up talking about a lot of other people, but I wanted to make this how I wanted to make this. I actually managed to get this to half an hour in the end, which was, I don't know how I managed to do that, but I did. But I think that's all for now. Remember to stream and download on all the podcast streaming services. I think I'm pretty much emotionally drained for today's episode. But again, yeah, just a big thanks to everybody that's helped me along the way. Especially a big thanks to you, Sam, how this podcast originated. Not in the first place, but how this episode originated. Talking all about you and the important impact that you had on my life. But apart from that, I think I'm actually done. Thank God, I know. But you'll hopefully hear from me very, very soon. And apart from that, bye.